Welcome to the end of the first course in our Google cluster of classes. Congratulations to you guys for making it to this point. We're going to be presenting or having the students present on their Google projects that they created this semester. So without further ado, I'd like to introduce you to the students so that they can present these wonderful projects that they created. Don, you want to kind of introduce who's going next?
Sure. First up, we have Bill Hallman, who is a library media specialist at Spring School District in Long Island, followed by Charlene, who is a LOTE teacher in Croton-Harmon District. And then we have Traci Hecht, who is a 4th grade elementary school teacher at Cayuga Elementary School.
Okay, so Bill, you're up.
All right. We're going to share my screen. Just let me know if you do not see it. Are we good?
Okay.
You all set?
We see it, yep.
Okay, great. All right. So basically, this was the thought process. I really focused on the tools of Google Drive, and when we started the course, it was ironic that our school had added so many Chromebooks to the district, and many of the students really had never used it in any other capacity than the media center. So now that it was going to be utilized more in the classrooms, I thought it would be a great time to start actually getting the kids signed in with their own username and passwords, and actually working on each concept of Drive, starting with Docs. So we went over all the tools in the toolbar, how to save, how to share, how to copy, how to paste, all those features. And then from there, I went on and I know that we did the story of Send in our class, and I thought that that was pertinent because this would be a great way for us to take every component of that, use Google Docs to take notes, and then they could share their notes with me. And it was ironic, you could actually tell who was paying attention in class and who was not paying attention in class based on what they saw in the videos and in the captions that were in the story of Send. But what was very interesting is that they were very engaged. It was a very engaging presentation that Google has created, and many of them wanted to know more about you know, methane or the use of gray water or how they recycled a building. So, but before that, I wanted to create a kind of an organizational track for them, and that's where I use something called Coglit, and Google actually has something called MindMeister or Mind Map. I went with Coggle only because of the clarity and not any other reason. I could always go to MindMeister or Mind Map, which are both applications that Google provides as an application in Chrome. So in the future I might use that. But this is an example of one student's Coggle. And you can see they broke it down into servers and security, and then they broke it down into different components. They had fun facts, and this is based on their perception. Please don't take the spelling into account. But environmentalism was a big piece of this, and Google prides itself on that. They thought that the safety and safety requirements were interesting because of they wanted to know how they did iris scans on an email. And I told them, I said, I don't believe it was they said that they were doing it on your email. They were saying that their data centers use parts of that. So they wanted to research that more in depth. So then from there, what I thought would be interesting was showing the kids how to actually use Google Slides. And after they've created this mind map, they would take one component that really grabbed them, and that's what they did. So some examples I'm going to show you. Here's one on smart water use. It was extremely simple in what their quest was. They were to find one article and one YouTube video that were on the same subject, and in this case it was how they use smart water. And then they had to come up with 3 questions, as if I was the teacher. They got to play teacher, but they had to be able to answer their own questions. So if they didn't read the article or watch the video, then these questions would be invalid. So it was a lot of watching videos and a lot of reading for me, but it was really worthwhile for them. So this was one example. Here's another good example. Kids learned how to insert, if you can see here where it says click here for article, they learned how to insert that. They also learned how to insert a video, and using Google Slides they make it extremely simple by clicking insert, and then they can click the image or video over on the side. So last but not least, a citation, because this is something that they borrowed. Renewable energy. So these were all basically the same. Okay. The big component, as Don and Al have alluded to, was the professional development piece, and I'm extremely lucky to say that I got the ability to do that on Professional Development Day in November at our school. And there were 2 sessions that I did training for. They were both 2 and a half hours apiece. There were 25 faculty and staff in each section. And what I did was I basically created an outline, and here's an example. This is in my library. You can see all the students here with their Chromebooks, and it was a packed house. Just an update, I'll be doing more this Friday and the following Friday, and today the administration wants to add more for January. So this is picking up steam in our building, and it's great. I'm extremely excited to provide all of this. You can see I added EST standards, Common Core. I can share this with anybody if they want it in the future, and I'll also have a website I'll share with you. But this is basically the outline I created for that day. The leadership from Dancing Guy we all saw in one of our presentations, but it was so pertinent to this. Worked really, really well, and it's just, this is a basic layout. Faculty and staff got to work along with their Chromebook and experience all this at the same time. So while I was explaining, they were doing, if they had a problem or a question, they could ask right there. So that made it, that hands-on piece was a true connection. And I think when everybody left, they were extremely stoked to go back and actually try something right away. So that was positive. The last thing I went and did was I created a website that is far from finished, but I think that this will help in the future because, you know, staffs change, faculty changes, people's positions change. I thought that this would be, and my goal truly is to become a trainer, and this would be beneficial for others to be able to see when I'm available, find out a little bit about me and what things I can provide to their district or to our own district. And so I thought that by creating this website might be a good idea, just to get that info out. So that's basically it in a nutshell. I don't know if you guys have any questions, yes. What age or grade level was I working with? Most of these kids that you saw the presentations from, Tracy, were from 7th and 8th grade.
Okay.
My 6th graders are working, but we're just finishing the Google Docs part. I think by Christmas I should have it completed because I only see them once a week. So that's tough, but there's 3 separate sections. And I think that's good. Well, thank you very much for that. I appreciate that. About the project, you know, it was nice when you take something and you learn it amongst a group of adults. This is true collaboration, I think. I like this kind of learning, and then I like to take the best pieces of it and then show it to the kids, and you know, they're basically learning like we're learning, but I have to break it down into smaller components for them. So
But what I really like about this is when you are going to the teachers and providing that professional development, whether it's with the Google Apps for Education, whether it's the Chromebooks, or the combination of the two, you now have a best practice to share with them, with your own students in that district. So you could say, hey, look, you know, some teachers may be apprehensive to try something new. You have an example that you could show them. Here, this is what we did. Not only did we do this, you know, not only did we do this in education, we did this in our building.
Yeah.
With our students with very, very little kind of lead time. They were able to kind of jump in without, you know, spending weeks and weeks and weeks explaining, you know, to learn a new software, learn a new product. They would just jump right in. And I think that, you know, goes a long way in winning the hearts and minds of some of those less than willing teachers.
Yeah, it was great. They really did jump on, and I mean, I'm still getting people coming in who want to learn more. In fact, I just got an email today from someone that said, you know, they want more in terms of longer hours, you know, and I said, to be honest, I don't want to do that yet until I'm 100% certified and I can create a slide, you know, program that I can utilize and keep on the fly and update as Google updates, because you know they add stuff all the time. you know, but once I get the framework, then I really have something to work on and work with.
Yeah, Bill, and I posted a couple comments. One was, it really is great to see there's such a demand for future sessions. It's kudos to you, because that professional development piece was obviously effective. I think it was effective because of a number of things, including what Don mentioned. You know, I think the practice of explaining and letting them do as you're delivering that professional development is extremely effective, because they can ask questions. They're actually trying, you know, the tools and the hands-on activity. I think that is the most effective way for professional development, specifically with technology. And you know, it's just a small piece, the really valuable tool, having the students write out questions, and I would even say, you know, teachers in a professional development session, you know, doing similar activities that the students have to do in their sessions, to kind of feel like they know what the students are going to go through when doing this whole process.
Right. No, I agree with you. I try and give as many opportunities to use the Chromebooks as possible, because I think that, you know, teachers are teaching. And you can't learn it when you want to provide that lesson to the students. And so when the teachers come in, they're really green, and you know, they don't want to make mistakes in front of their students. And this is a time to do it. And some, you know, they get frustrated, but I think, you know, if their minds are clear, this is really I think the best tool I've seen, even more than a PC or a Mac, or an iPad and an Android. It just works. They have enough prior knowledge to make it work too. You know, so it's been very successful.
Well, any other questions for Bill?
Did my message appear or not?
Charlene, it did not. Bill, you're still sharing your screen. If you want to take that off too.
Yeah, let me do that.
Charlene, you just want to ask your question or make your comment?
Well, it wasn't so much a question. I've got like 1,000 pictures. Oh, there they go. I'm really glad you took the time to teach them all the different steps before they started a project. Because my school, isn't a Google school, and my students have been trying to use different Google products for things we're doing in class right now. And I'm the one going around trying to teach them. So
Yeah.
this has been valuable, but it's amazing. They just feel as though since I know how to do some things, I can do it. And they don't. They really don't. They need a little training. So thank you for doing that.
Oh, you're welcome. Thank you. I just know that, I always go back to my preschool teacher days.
Mm-hmm.
You got to start from the concrete to go before you can go to the abstract. And you can give somebody a tool and they won't have an idea where anything is. And Google does a good job of hiding a lot of those tools that we've all been so accustomed to in other products.
Mm-hmm.
But, they're all there. We just have to be aware of where they are. And it becomes another language. And that's really what the kids and staff are learning.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So I can't expect them to do something without prior knowledge. It's not fair. So.
Great. Well, thank you so much, Bill. Excellent job, and I'm looking forward to hearing about where this goes from here. Where do you think this is going to go from here?
I don't know, because I would like to see it keep moving forward. I just keep throwing stuff at my principal, and luckily it's been sticking lately. But there's so many aspects to this, and I don't think he's even really aware of how much time it's going to take. Especially, I've said let's give one-to-one to teachers so that they can actually start creating some of this stuff for next year. And then, we haven't even added the mobile piece in for them to use on the fly. And I know what some staff will say, when I'm off, I'm off. We're all professionals now. I don't know how you're off, ever, with technology.
The reality is the kids aren't ever off now. They're connected 24/7, so in turn we need to be. So yeah,
it's true. And I look at things differently than a lot of people do. I hope it keeps moving. I'd like to do this as a summer institute, where there's maybe 15 credit hours or 45 credit hour classes through the Conic Teacher Center or somebody like that. Because I don't think that anybody's doing that out here.
And that'd be great. Yeah, that'd be, to keep moving with that professional development piece would really spread the word on some of these opportunities and some of the best practices that you already have experience with. That's great. So,
yeah, thanks.
Excellent job.
All right. So, Traci, you're up.
All right. All right, just let me know if you see it.
Yep.
Okay. Do you still see it if I do it this way?
Yep.
Yes, we do.
Okay. All right, so I teach 4th grade at Cayuga Elementary School in Sachem School District. And for my project, I was using Google Drive in the elementary classroom. So it's on a lot more basic level than William did his. So my big idea was to utilize Google Documents to compose a collaborative summary of a piece of literature. So I had read the novel The War with Grandpa by Robert Kimmel Smith to my class, and they were really enjoying the story. And at the same time, during my ELA block, we were working on summarizing, which is part of the Common Core standards. So I thought it would be a great opportunity to put both Google and the Common Core together and work on writing some collaborative summaries. So I created some learning targets for my students. That's the way that I start off all of my lessons, so that this way they fully understand what their objective is. So the first learning target was I can summarize a piece of literature using specific details from a text, which is a Common Core learning standard. And then I can work collaboratively to write a summary of a piece of literature. Working collaboratively to actually compose an essay or a piece of writing was something that was new for my students. Most of the time, if they did any collaborative work, it was more on a project or some form of a presentation. So actually having to do writing and be responsible for different pieces was a new experience for them. I can effectively use Google Documents to collaboratively write a summary. So for this learning target, they would learn how to use Google Documents, how to log into Google Drive and explore everything that was in there, and then to use that as their tool to write their summary. And I can make meaningful comments to help improve my group work. That part was for using the comment feature within Google Documents, so that this way it would help to enhance the cohesiveness of their piece of writing. Steps to success. The first thing that we had to do was to set up the student Google Drive accounts. To do this, I brought them to the computer lab and explained to them how to log in through Google to get to their account. This definitely was a challenging component, having them type in those letters that make up the nonsense words to prove that they're not a robot. That was definitely a time-consuming task, but well worth it. We had to explore Google Drive. So the first thing they needed to do was to get to know Google Drive and see what was in there, and kind of play around a little bit just so they can see where everything was and become a little bit more familiar. Not a single one of my students had ever used Google Drive before. I had to set up student contact groups in Gmail so that this way I could dispense the assignments and keep all of their documents organized and be able to keep track of who was doing what. So I created a template for the student summary, and that's what made it easy for me to share all of the documents. And this way I was the owner of all the documents, and I made them able to edit. I had to model how to use a document collaboratively, since this was the first time that they were experiencing writing something together and also using the technology to do that. This was a little bit tricky for them when they saw the different cursors and the different colors on the document. So we played around a little bit with that first, and they really got a kick out of it, being able to see what somebody else was writing, and they also were able to experience that they could accidentally delete something else that somebody else was writing, so they had to be very cautious of that. The next step was to have the students determine the span of events for their part of their summary, so that this way they knew exactly what they would be accountable for. I had students work in groups of 3. One was responsible for the beginning, one for the middle, and one for the end. And then we went to the computer lab for frequent writing sessions, so that this way they could utilize Google Documents and be able to compose their summaries. Once they were fully into their summaries, I then explained the purpose of the comment feature, and I modeled how to use it so that this way they could use the comment feature to assist their partners with writing their summaries, to remind them of things that needed to be included, to point out things that maybe could be reworded or maybe that weren't needed and needed to be taken out, again, to help with the cohesiveness of their summary. And then the final step is to have the students collaboratively revise and edit the document. This is the step that we're up to right now. And they're also going to use the comment feature to suggest or inquire about revisions, so this way they can assist each other. I didn't want them to go and erase something that somebody had worked really hard on and that partner not be satisfied with that choice. So I figured if they use the comment feature to make those suggestions and inquiries, then they would be able to work that out in a more positive way. For the professional objectives for my 4th grade colleagues, I chose to focus on just working with my 4th grade colleagues as opposed to my entire faculty. So the first thing I did with them was I modeled how to log on to Google Drive, which they were not aware that they had. So that was a positive thing to do with them. I demonstrated and assisted them in setting up student contact groups in their Gmails as well, so that this way they could dispense and share documents with their students should they choose to. I modeled how to create and share a document in Google Drive. I demonstrated how to copy a document to use it as a template for sharing with contact groups. And we did this all in my classroom where I have computers where we all sat around together. So this way, as I was modeling for them, I had them go and do the same things on their own accounts. So that this way they would be able to experience doing that for themselves. I modeled how to set up folders in Google Drive so that this way they can keep their documents organized. And I shared my summary activity with them, and I've been updating with them on the progress as we go through. We have grade level meetings each week, so I use part of that time to share with them what's been happening, and I've shared some of my student files with them so that this way they could take a peek and see what's going on. Their reactions have been positive, although they have yet to attempt to do any of the activities with their students as of now. So I have also shared the usefulness and the benefits of using Google Drive and documents with my 4th grade teachers, but I plan to do that with the entire faculty as well. That's down the road. So the outcome so far. So far it's been an overall positive experience. Students are well on their way to writing a successful collaborative summary. It's definitely a highly motivating activity. I've had students spend extra time working from home. I've seen that they've logged on using the revision history feature. I've been able to see when they've logged on, and some of the times you see that they're not in school and they're doing it on their own time. So that's really, really great. And the comments have helped to facilitate a more complete and cohesive summary. They've utilized Google Drive and documents with ease. Once they got over that awkwardness of seeing somebody else type at the same time, once they got comfortable with that, everything seemed to flow smoothly. My colleagues have had a positive reaction to the Google Drive and its educational benefits. And they're now aware of Google Drive, and they've explored some Common Core materials that have been shared from the district with them. And I just want to show you some of the summaries that we're working on. So here is a summary from one of the groups. I started off with giving them just what their assignment was and what their task was up at the top. And then they went ahead and they sectioned off a beginning, a middle, and an end. And you can see on the side that we have some comments that are being left by some of the students. This is a student who left a comment to one of the other partners, letting them know. It says, and I think that instead of saying everything that happens when Peter was scared in his room, you should just say that he was uncomfortable with his new room or that he didn't like the room in any way. So that's a really productive use of the comment feature to assist with making the summary sound a little bit more eloquent or have what it needed to have. So this one's well on its way and ready for editing. And then we have another one, again, which is sectioned off for beginning, middle, and end. And I wanted to show you this one because here's where I had some students who in the beginning, when I was instructing them on how to use the comment feature, I had some groups who were, really excited and jumped right in, and they started using the comment feature in ineffective and unproductive ways. So that opened the door for me to, have those reminders and lessons about making sure that we use them in productive ways. So those have since to appear. So the challenges that I faced so far were time. Setting up the accounts with the fourth graders was time consuming. I think that since I only have 26 students to worry about and class sizes hopefully won't be that much larger, that's something that I might choose to do on my own and set them up beforehand if they don't already come to me with their accounts set up. So hopefully over time that will change and maybe the third grade will start having their accounts set up. This activity did require a substantial amount of time in the computer lab. I don't think that future assignments will require as much because they will already be comfortable with using Google Documents. Typing at the fourth grade level, again, that confusion with while others were typing, that was only an initial challenge, and it's definitely gotten better. So everybody seems to be more comfortable with that. And fourth graders have weak typing skills, so this did cause the activity to take a little bit longer than anticipated. But I think as they continue to work on writing using the computer, that will also improve. And as far as my colleagues, I found that they need to experience my successes and let me work out the kinks before they will join in. So I'm hoping that they will see the success of this activity and will choose to maybe jump in with me for one of my future endeavors. So up next, I plan to utilize Google Documents to write an informational letter about the Iroquois flag. We're studying the Iroquois for social studies, and it's also part of our ELA block as part of the Common Core and Engaged New York modules. So I'm hoping to be able to convince my colleagues to join in on this, since using Google Documents will definitely be able to facilitate doing that. And then after that, I do plan to utilize Google Presentations to create a collaborative water cycle presentation. And again, I'm hoping that my colleagues will be able to see my successes and be able to want to take some risks and join in. And that is my presentation. Let me see here. We have a lot of comments.
I just posted one.
Yeah, great job overall, Traci.
Yeah,
Thank
very
you.
organized.
Yeah, very nice.
Thank you.
I mean, you kind of addressed it as you were talking, so it's fine. But if you wanted to elaborate,
I saw one from you, John. How was getting the students to use their GAFE accounts for the first time. Just that initial setup was the challenge. They were super excited. And we've discussed before that fourth graders are you mentioned going to the computer lab no matter what it's for. They think it's a party. So. They were beyond thrilled, and they're focused too. When they're writing their summaries in there, I mean, you could walk in and hear a pin drop because they're all on task and on target and doing what they're supposed to be doing. They help each other, which is so wonderful. When somebody's able to do something, if somebody's having trouble, they get up and they go and they help. So which is really great.
Traci, I also loved how you were talking about even when they weren't supposed to be on there doing it, you saw them working on their stuff, and that speaks volumes to what the technology does, how you set up the lesson, that whole motivation and enthusiastic approach they're taking to learning is pretty cool.
Thank you. Yeah, they get a little shocked when I come over to them and start talking to them. So how have the comments been going? And they look at me with those eyes of like, uh-oh, you know what I was just doing.
That's great.
Yeah, I see, William. You said, did the students share their work with you and then see comments you made to them to enhance their writing? I would just pop in to view their files and their documents to see what they were doing, and then I would leave my comments as I was going, and they would just see them when they were on.
Right.
Yeah, I was there.
Yeah, Traci, I just mentioned again before, the presentation really was nicely formatted. It looked aesthetically, it looked really nice too. And I loved how you went over kind of the rules of collaboratively working on a document. I think that's so essential, and the infusion of the Common Core into the lesson, and then beyond. You talked about your next lesson. That you really did a great job of that too. I mean, at so many different levels, you infuse Common Core into that lesson. So really, really great job on that as well.
Thank you. Yeah, I hope that starting them, at this level will make things, easier for future teachers, so this way they don't have to do this background work, that the kids will be familiar with all of what the features that Google has to offer, and they'll just be able to jump in because the kids will have that knowledge and maybe even teach them a thing or two.
Yeah, and you're empowering them too, even with them commenting, having students comment on other students' work, letting them reflect and revise their own work based on their classmates' feedback. I mean, it's pretty cool stuff what you're having them do, because they're kind of owning their own learning, and that's when they really start to develop a deeper understanding of topics. So it's great.
Yeah, thank you.
They won't forget this. I mean, it's something that I know that fourth grade teachers did last year for writing assignment, and they still talk about it, those kids, and when they come into me and said, oh, well, we did this, we learned how to share, and we learned how to comment on each other's, and we know how to talk to each other, which is really, that's very difficult to teach, but it's great that you did that.
Jumping on what Bill just said, I mean, think about it next, a couple years when they go to the middle school, and maybe the teacher doesn't know about Google, Apps for Education, and kids get assigned a project, and they say, oh, how are we going to work on this project together? And one of your students is in that group, they're going to know right away, oh, here, I know a great way to work together. They're just, not even part of the assignment. They just know that tool is available, and they can go ahead and use that. And I think that is kind of what we're trying to do with these students, give them the tools and show them what's available, so when they're out on their own or when they have something assigned to them, they know what they can use and what's effective. And I think that is a perfect example of what you did in your lesson.
Yeah.
Thank you.
And more importantly, you showcased it to other teachers and offered that professional development piece, Traci, and I think that exponential impact more students, because you're able to really kind of showcase what you're doing from a professional teaching level. That is the most valuable tool of all, because that's what really will kind of set all of this stuff in motion too.
Yeah, I do plan on, reaching out to more of the faculty. I figured, my whole motto, and I do this in my classroom too, is, start small and then work big. So I wanted to have, examples to pull from to be able to support my feelings about Google and how it impacts the classroom. So this way I have something to back it up and say, hey, here, I did this. This was in our school with our students, and this worked. And this didn't work, but if we try it this way, maybe we'll have better luck. So I figure if I can get my fourth grade colleagues on board, get some other examples going, and then reach out to the rest of the faculty later in the year when I have some more examples for them. That's my goal.
Great. Any other comments or questions for Traci?
No, I thought it was a great job with such young children.
They amaze you.
Yep.
So, all right, Charlene, are you ready to go?
Yeah, I mean, it's up there. Let's try it again.
Okay, let's
you don't have it up. It's not. You don't see it anywhere yet, right?
Nope, not yet.
I saw it before, though. It looks like you were sharing the screen before. So it looks like it was working. All right. So you just minimize our Hangout, and then you should have your stuff behind it.
You have it?
I see it.
Ah, and voila.
All right.
Good job.
Okay. Well, at first I thought about working on just a digital portfolio for my students. And then it occurred to me, because I had previously done them in PowerPoint, and a lot of teachers didn't even know how to do that with PowerPoint because there are a lot of different applications you want to put into a portfolio. So I thought, okay, I'm going to work backwards and let's write something that maybe could help teachers envision how they could use the Google Sites for their student portfolios. And also, I know teachers working on tenure now are supposed to create their own portfolios. So it could also be done that way. So I thought it would serve multiple purposes. We could train teachers how to use sites, to use it for portfolios, then transfer it to teaching the students. And it could be an application that could be used across the grade levels. We start language in 5th grade, so we have 5th through AP. So I also think it would be wonderful if they could start them much earlier and obviously purge them as they go forward. But they could have something that even for college admissions they want to be proud of by the time they're at the upper levels. So it is a great way that they could start accumulating their different skills along the way. Right now, the PowerPoints my students make, they get killed off the drive when they go to high school. So unless it's on a flash drive, they don't have access to it. The audience here was for my administrators. I will show them a copy of this and all my faculty. And I hope to later in the year share it with the middle school faculty. Right now I'm working with the 7th and 8th grade language students because they have they actually have a little more computer proficiency to be able to work with all this, because I can't spend all my time, you know, teaching them the applications, which is unfortunate. So that's where we were going, is to start with the students, the teachers understanding how to do a portfolio. In this one, there is only certain types of media that is used. I'd like to expand it with Google Voice, do a Google Hangout, and then use it even with Google Groups. They could do it either in school on their cell phones, or for us to do it with other faculty members also, because our high school and middle school have been asked to please meet more, and of course time is of, you know, the most importance. When are we going to do this? We all teach at opposite times. So this way we can have a brief Google Hangout even after school and talk with each other in groups. One reason I was looking forward to doing that is my school district loves project-based learning. And there are a lot of performance skills that you do need to produce in the foreign language classroom. So they've even talked about having students come into the middle school and accumulate a portfolio in all their disciplines across the school years, and then showcase them at the end of 8th grade. You know, have parents come in and you know, show their own portfolio of work. So long term, I'd really like to get everyone involved in doing this so students could have a student portfolio of everything they've accomplished throughout their years there. Right now, it's done kind of haphazardly when they do it. The first thing I put in, there's a lot of, especially at the lower level, of you know, written work or drawn work. Caligram, they take their new French name, and then they use other things they have learned. These are adjectives, and in this case, this was a girl, so she had to be sure her adjectives agreed. So this way, they're able to demonstrate. You could scan in, which I did teach them how to do, scan in their work. So this way they were able to take any written or artwork they've done and scan it in. And the same thing you could do if you wanted to insert a photo. And I put what the standards were at the bottom. This was actually a project my students did do, and you can see it was done in Google. They had to do a comparison between two school systems and then present their comparison. So this way they decided to do a presentation in Google Drive. And in this one, you'll notice, if it's, I don't know if it's showing on your screen, it was made to like keep playing, to keep flashing. And obviously you can enlarge it. There it goes. So this is kind of interesting in that they get to see it's like a slideshow of their work, and at the same time it's been done in a presentation embedded here. In my school, we use Edmodo a lot because it's safe for the students. So they post their work like this on Edmodo. Edmodo is also now a Google app. So it's nice that they can create these things in the Google documents and then put it into the program. I also just used the Google Apps and Emoto recently for them to work in their small groups, so they always had access to the same work they were doing. This is an example of something they've done online, and then it was all combined into a slideshow. And this could be a whole showcase of different student work that they have done throughout the year. This was done in presentation. They had to do a screen capture of whatever their work was and then insert it into it. This was a student's portfolio that was originally done in PowerPoint that's been moved into a presentation. This is the first time I've moved a PowerPoint into a presentation. Obviously, the sound doesn't play, but it does capture all the other animation that the student entered. So it lets you see how the application can be used for a student's portfolio if they have created it in PowerPoint to move it into a presentation, which I think a lot of the students are starting to use presentations right now. It's going to be difficult getting some of the students used to the different applications and, without more support in the training for them, and to have the other teachers comfortable using it also. So that's one of my goals, is to even start with just with the foreign language teachers, letting them know how they can take the programs they're familiar with and transfer it into the different Google products. This is a representation of how you can take a video and link it into the website. This was actually a cartoon done. GoAnimate is also available as an app. I noticed that the one for schools, however, there's a fee for it. So, and they all like making cartoons. But it is inserted the same way you would do a video. And then they can, in this case, the cartoon character does the voice. They can do the voiceovers for the cartoon characters. It's taking it a while. So the character speaks is that they've been able to take any handwritten work and scan it in. They've been able to take a Google Drive presentation and insert it. You can take a PowerPoint and put it into a presentation. And then we had the video. And I think this one, that was the portfolio. So then going forward, I'd like to have them insert more speaking products. And they could even record conversations and put them in. On Wednesday, I am doing a presentation about using the applications in Edmodo. My students will start using the Google Voice in December, and we've also started in the Spanish class too. We had a hard time getting a number. My number goes all the way up in Albany. So the Hangout session will also start in December with the high school teachers. I'm going to prepare a proposal for the American French teachers. That's in July in New Orleans, and the New York State Foreign Language teachers is in October. I've presented there before, and I'll be doing something for our department. I guess our next meeting is in January. So my immediate ways of training would be that. And of course, ongoing, just trying to get the students to have a better idea of how to use the different products in the classroom. So should I close out of this?
Sure. If you're done with your presentation, yes.
Yeah, I think that's all in that right now.
Okay, that's fine. You want to answer some of those questions, Charlene?
Yeah, let me get back to the Google account.
Okay.
Okay.
I just mentioned that it's great. You said in the beginning it really does serve multiple purposes, Charlene. I think it's awesome that teachers can use this as kind of a tracking tool for themselves and kind of put all their work and be able to present that to a principal or another teacher as best practices. I think it's great that it does that. I also think it's great that you give this kind of tool to the students where they could really there's so much depth to electronic portfolios because it allows them to really reflect on what should go in there, reflect on what may go in there in the future. So there's it adds a lot of depth to what the students are doing, and a nice reflective piece too.
Mm-hmm. I see that Don mentioned about a Voki. I've heard about Vokis. Are they easier to embed or not?
No, it's just something they could add to their the portfolio. If the student wants to kind of narrate and have like a little avatar pop up, and they want to narrate, kind of like welcome to my portfolio. I'm also seeing just for LOT. I know you're in LOT. You do teach French, so that's something too where they can have their Voki speak in French. They can either type it in or they can actually record their voice. It's just something that I just thought of when you mentioned Google Voice. Obviously, Google Voice, having them record, voicemails in French and then saving them as MP3. I mean, that's great too, obviously, but just another more interactive piece you can add.
Well, it's nice to have a variety, and some students seem to lean towards one application more to another too. So whatever gets them talking and recording.
Charlene, can you stop sharing your screen so we can see you too? Yeah, on the top left there.
Just hit the button again.
Yeah. Just hit it once and you should. There's a little bit of a delay, but it should go off. Traci, you had a comment?
Yeah, I first of all, I liked your site. I thought it was really organized and easy to navigate. And I also liked that the digital portfolios would be there for the kids and travel with them and for them to be able to use in the future however they needed them to be used for. My question for you was, is the faculty aware that you've set up the digital portfolios in this fashion? I know you said that the way that it's done now is kind of haphazard, and do they plan on utilizing them?
I think that's going to be me to get them involved with doing it. I'll start within the department first, and then extend it beyond there. And some people I interact with more than others. It depends on the meeting times.
Of course.
Where you know how it is. But I'm pretty sure that I'll probably be able to at least introduce it at a faculty meeting later in the year because they look for teachers to find ways to do that. And our school, they're very good about sharing with each other. So I think there'll be quite a few people interested in doing this.
Yeah, it would be a really cohesive way to save all of their hard work. Rather than it being scattered in different places on different flash drives and in different spots. It's just a nice central location for everything to be and to be able to be added to year after year.
What I've also found interesting is sometimes when I do have to go into their share drives, they don't know how to make a file folder. It's all over the place. I don't know how they focus on anything. So at least if we could get students set up to doing this, they would start transferring everything into the the right folder and the right group or whatever. So I think it would help. And as I said, a lot of them are using these Google products, but they don't know how to use them appropriately. I mean, not that they're doing things inappropriate with them, but they're hunting and pecking and clicking. And I had a student today actually use the same site template that I did, and she didn't know how to change the headings in it. And it's little things like that would make their polished product much better if they had someone to take the time to get them up and running with it in the first place, which is why I liked what Bill was doing too, just taking the time to show them how to use everything.
Yeah, Charlene, I think it's so important too that not only do the students have the portfolios like I was saying, and then they have that reflective piece where we kind of evaluate what's good enough to go into the portfolio. It may make them try harder or produce better work because they want to show it off. Obviously, colleges are going to be looking at when they submitting applications. It would be great for students to have that link to send off with their application. Here's my student portfolio. Here's my Google site. And especially when you look at colleges and higher ed, they're really a lot of them are moving to Google App Schools. What is it, 60 or 70% of universities in the United States are moving to Google Apps for education. So not only will they see that the student has a portfolio to display their work, they'll see that the student is coming in with the knowledge of how to use Google products, which I think, I don't know, I can't speak for the evaluation process, the application process, but I would think that would be a plus in the category for when they're trying to get admitted.
Right, because then they prove they already have the experience of using it and working with it.
Career and college ready, that's the goal, right?
Right.
So.
That's true. There's so much technology now, and trying to get them, even though that's not what I was trained to do at this point, I realized that a lot of this starts with us in the classroom because they don't have like a true full-time media class. So whatever we can do to get them on their way, and as they're saying, technology is important as anything else now with the Common Core in all of our subject areas. Whatever we can do to get them headed in the right direction and capture their work, I think we'll be on our way.
Yeah, Charlene, and I loved how you took them out of the technology and allowed that to be in their portfolio too. Technology is wonderful when we talk about using it, but you don't have to use it every project. And when you can use it or not use it, in your case with the where they were writing their name and they were doing what adjectives you said it was?
Yes, they have to surround it with the adjectives. Yeah.
Right. Something like that worked really well for them. Just writing on the paper and drawing it on the paper, and then you use the technology for the electronic portfolio piece to scan it in so that they could showcase that work on a digital level and keep it as long as they want to keep it, which was awesome too. Bill, you had a quick comment too?
Yeah, I think that anytime, I don't know if you have kids that go abroad or classes, and the ones that can't go or can't afford to go or whatever reason, it would be great to use a Hangout to have a discussion. Maybe they've learned something that you wouldn't learn necessarily in the classroom over there, and that kind of brings the outside into the school. And they would be able to see, just like we're doing here, but it would be in that foreign language.
Right.
So, I think that's just another way of using it.
We don't have it with middle school, but we do have our high school French students. They do an exchange program in La Rochelle, and they'll be going there this year. So that might be an opportunity even for us just to hang out when they're doing that.
Yeah, it might be a nice way to motivate those kids to stay in the language, because I know, I'm a product of, I couldn't wait to get out of it. Now I wish I didn't, and my school is 51% Hispanic, and I speak very poor Spanish, So.
Listen, I don't really speak Spanish, and they actually had me teach it one year. So the year later, I said to the Spanish teacher, I said, they have beautiful French accents with their Spanish.
That's great.
I said, they'll do well in the south of France. But I think the problem too is there are so many demands on our time that we all have to pick up something else that usually another teacher would do. And I think have these applications, as we were saying, if they're working on something in one class and maybe it can transfer in another class, it's there to pull up. I'm so tired of hearing, well, I don't have my flash drive. So if we can get them and encourage them to use this more, I think it'll make everybody happy, from parents to faculty and administrators.
Yeah, and I think, you have a great opportunity here. It seems like multiple opportunities for the professional development piece. And, modeling that piece as well, Charlene, where you're showing them things that they're not getting because of budgets, because of cuts, that they're not getting in other circumstances within school. I think it's great that you're kind of tackling that. You were even talking about simple things that they couldn't do that you're helping them do. That I think a lot of us assume that kids just know, but they don't know necessarily the right way of doing it. Bill and Traci too were talking about things that they were showing, going over the collaborative process, going over the rules, using the Chromebooks, whatever it is. The assumption can't be that the kids know, and I think it's great that you're showing that, and specifically able to show to your peers, which again will trickle down and affect the kids exponentially. So really, really great job, all three of you. Incredible job on these projects. I'm really looking forward to seeing where these go. Even beyond our scope of the courses. I'm sure these will evolve over the years into projects that you guys are doing, and projects that other teachers are doing too, based on seeing you guys, having professional development by you guys. So that's all really exciting stuff moving forward. Are there any other comments on Charlene's? Charlene, do you have any other comments on your presentation?
Well, except for the part about getting my screen up. No, I think it's nice to be able to share, because I learn a lot by watching what other people do, and then take it back and make it my own also. So Traci's ideas and Bill's, they're all great. I mean, from Bill I realized we really have to teach them what I consider elementary things, no matter what age they are. You have to be aware of that. And Traci, just the way she did the reading, I take that with very simple things, just a magazine article. So we all have something to learn from each other and share, and we all use different types of applications, which makes it even more interesting and something we can take away with it.
Yeah, and that's always one of the benefits of these courses, and kind of going through the journey together, the sharing and the learning from each other. Don and I have said that time and time again, but that really is a great point as well, Charlene. So any other questions from the group, comments from the group?
No, thank you.
Thank you.
All right, so thank you so much, guys. You're not only a part of the first Google course in the Google cluster. You're actually the first live hangout as well, showcasing the wonderful stuff that you guys are doing. So thank you so much for all that, and everyone have a great holiday, and we will, we'll be in touch, I'm sure. Okay.
Thanks, guys.
Thank you.
Take care.
Thank
Best
you.
of luck to everyone.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Okay. Take care, guys.